Um, I am originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, actually, and my family moved due to Hurricane Katrina when I was 5 years old. And so then I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm a senior public health studies undergrad student. I'm an English minor and I'm on the pre-medical track, hoping to go to med school. In the fall, I'll be enrolled in the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health with a concentration in women's sexual and reproductive health. And that's a 2-year program. So I will be taking 2 gap years. So that's pretty exciting. One of my older sisters and younger sisters played basketball, and it ended up being like a gateway to so many opportunities the older we got. And basically this coach that was head of our summer basketball organization was the assistant coach at this high school called Marist. That's the high school I went to. And it's Catholic, predominantly white. Probably the first year I got there, there were only 3 other Black kids in my class of 150. So that was a huge culture shock, just because growing up through New Orleans, through Georgia, I only went to school with Black people, and I pretty much only saw people of different races when I played basketball over the summer. That same basketball coach that introduced us to Marist, he asked me to give him a list of schools, because this was like a normal thing with recruiting, like your coach just gives you a list of schools that you're interested in, and I knew I wanted to do medicine. So I kind of threw Hopkins on there at the last minute. He told me to give him a list of 5 schools, and I was like, sure, like I'll just put this on here, because it couldn't hurt to just do that. And the coach was like, oh, there's actually a new coach there, like I'm gonna reach out to her. And then she gave me her contact information. I visited the school. I was took on a tour by one of the juniors at the time, and I sat in. I had no idea what major I wanted to be. I just knew I wanted to do pre-med. So I sat in on one of her classes. It's called Environment and Health. I actually took it my sophomore year, and I was like, wow, this was the class that made me want to come here. So that was a very immersive experience, my recruiting visit, which I wish all incoming students was able to have an experience like that, but unfortunately they can't. And I spent the night, I played pickup with the team. I was able to sort of like get a feel for what my community would be like when I do come there. And I've always wanted to go to like a smaller field school that's like more closed off rather than being within a city, just because I've grown up in cities. So yeah, with all those, and I also, a big thing, I was able to connect with my coach very quickly, and some of the things that I didn't feel super comfortable with, I was able to express that to her on my recruiting visit. I was like, I don't know if everybody's going to be at the same level I'm used to competing at. I don't know if there's going to be people pushing me. I don't know if when I'm struggling, there's going to be people to support me here. And then she laid out this, and this, and I've been able to have all those things that she talked to me about. So I think I had that like adult presence right away, and then I also had those actual girls who were going to be like my quote unquote sisters when I got to school. So actually, I think this question would start with hop in. Like it was like kind of on a whim. I was like, oh, are they like joking me? Like, no way there's this program that pays for a class and like lets me sit like on campus for 6 weeks before I get there. And so first of all, that was an amazing opportunity, like amazing program that someone has made. So once I got there, it was like immediate 40 other best friends. So I just absolutely love Hop In. When I got to campus in August, I knew so many people. My teammates were like, how do you know all of these people? And we were just like eating at FFC. I was introducing them to my friends, and they were introducing me to like their new roommates and that sort of thing. So I immediately just like felt like I belonged just from having my experience at Hop In with a bunch of people who looked like me. And I think that was just like a complete 180 from how I started at my high school, because I just felt, probably until I graduated my senior year when I was like performing very well in basketball, I just like didn't really feel like that was my school. I just felt like it was a school that I went to. So I think Hop In very much like started that community for me. I became a captain on my basketball team my sophomore year, and I felt very isolated in the beginning just because I was a sophomore and there were like 6 upperclassmen and there were 3 other girls in my class, and that was one of those instances where I like didn't feel like I belonged. Like, I know that I'm a leader and I felt comfortable in that position, but it wasn't like taken well by the team. And so I very much like gravitated towards my assistant coach. It was her first year and she was just like sharing all of her experiences with me. And this was a big thing because it was like, I had never really had mentors who were white or who were not Black. And that was her. And I felt like I connected to her on a lot of different levels, and she just helped me realize that like this is what I love to do. This is like me outside of school, like those sort of things, and she just put life into perspective for me. And then I would say as I like moved throughout the pandemic year, we established a Black Student Athlete Association, and that has been a huge new community that I'm so excited to be a part of, and that's just like the Black athletes on campus. And this group is basically like you just get to meet all of the athletes that are in first through grad years, and then you get to like not only share your experiences, because we really didn't want it to just be a place where we're like complaining about like the bad things that's happening on campus, but like sharing our accomplishments. If you know it or not, a lot of the most accomplished peoples on the teams are the Black student athletes, and I just feel like we aren't like given that space to be praised and like praise each other, especially because we're all so isolated on our own teams that we just like don't really seek solace from one another. So I think this group has been very amazing. We've been having a lot of great turnouts in our first year of in-person. We're trying to do a lot of like community engagement things, because a big thing we recognize is that 1, the athletic department has a huge influence in the Baltimore community, and 2, we don't really use it. We don't really use it to help other people. We do it to make us look good, and that's just a big thing that we wanted to get rid of. So I love the identity that's within that community. I'm very proud to be a part of it. I'm proud to be one of the seniors and upperclassmen in the athletic department that the younger girls can like look up to. I told them they can come to me for anything. So that's been pretty awesome. So I think that is another big community that I have. Well, first of all, I want people to support us. Like, sports are a huge part of our lives, and I think we find different ways to be involved in things that aren't sports. Like, when you look at resumes, basically, of athletes, you just see that we do find ways to be involved in a lot. So I think just, like, having people at our games and, like, being intentional about it, that, like, means a lot to us, because another thing, sometimes we feel isolated from the like greater Black community, maybe because they like didn't grow up playing sports or something. So I think I would like to see that divide a little bit more. Something we've been talking about in our executive board meetings are maybe like moving our positions a bit based off who's in season and who isn't, so that people who are not in season can partner with those other groups, can go to these different events that we normally can't go to when we have games at 5 p.m. 3 times a week, that sort of thing. So if I were to look at BSA 5 years from now, I would see that shift be able to happen perfectly and succinctly. And another big thing is I'd love to see actual partnerships with every single team. I think we have 20 teams. Yeah, I think we have 20 teams, and then plus the 2 lacrosse. And I like to see every one of those teams partnered with either a school or a nonprofit organization centered around children and their development with each team. Because my team partnered with Margaret Brent Elementary School down the street for my whole career, and we just haven't been able to because they're not allowing visitors, COVID, like that sort of thing. And it was like a big thing we pressed, like every single team should be partnering with the school and showing them what it looks like to be a successful athlete. There's a good amount of Black people and people of color on most of these teams, so they can even see people who look like them in those positions. So that's a really big thing that I would love to see. I would love to see more diversity in the athletic department, because that's just like representative of who we are. We want it to be shown in positions of power. We don't have any persons of color, not even Black persons of color, head coaches. And so just being able to like increase that diversity and just like showing that it matters to other people of like different representations and how that affects our experience. Those are some of the things that we've really been pushing, and that I would love to see in a few years. I've learned from my mom growing up and from all my mentors is life is literally about relationships. Like people say that all the time, but the reason I'm sitting in the position that I am is because of relationship. And I'm gonna say, starting with my mom, like if she had a poor relationship with her brothers, like why would they come and get us from the storm? First of all, like she has a very strong relationship with them. They are like very tight knit. They care about each other, and they show that love that now I have with my siblings, and they're just like the most influential people in my life. In terms of like my goals, why I felt confident in going so far away from home, because they did it. Like I saw them doing it. So relationships starting with my family, like they're really like my foundation, and like we just like grow strength from each other, just from like we've had to deal with the same adversity. So I would say starting with that, and then with my mom, just like talking to somebody who will listen and always like telling them your story. It's always like you never know who you're talking to. And at my high school, it was always some very influential person with finances, or like knew this person who knew that person, like that sort of thing. And even getting us into our school, like my high school opened so many doors for us, and it started with my mom just talking to someone. And then it started with me talking to my coach, me talking to her, and then like me establishing a relationship with her right off the bat. And then I became captain because she knew that she could like rely on me to like be open and honest. Even with my research that I do on campus, that is something I forgot to mention. That is a huge part of who I am on this campus, is like my neuroscience research that I do. And my huge mentor is a PhD candidate, and I met her because there was a girl who went to my elementary school and high school that I was not friends with whatsoever. And I just talked to her about it, and she got me a position there. And then the papers I'm being published on, it's like because I talked to my research woman who like husband is a doctor. Like that's where I would just say like all of my success, like it's not me, it's just the fact that I'm talking to people, and and I think that is like really like propels you forward, is like not trying to go through life alone. Like yeah, we have to like push ourselves and like have this like internal confidence, but I just think that being very intentional about my relationships and like making people feel how genuine I am has always been like a very strong character trait of myself. And I think it's just because I learned that from my mom, and I learned it from the people that have been in my life. And just finding that balance and knowing relationships are everything is something that I would give, an advice I would give to literally any person.